government, we wholly appreciate the challenges that this presents on a number of fronts. The announcements by the Methodist Church cancelling Good Friday and Easter Sunday services, by the Muslim Judicial Council that the Friday prayer has been cancelled, and by the Zion Christian Church that the annual Moriah pilgrimage has been cancelled, were no doubt reached through great difficulty. And we know that the leaders of those faith-based organizations agonized quite a lot before arriving at those decisions. This is something that we keenly appreciate. I want to assure you today that as government, we are working with speed and urgency to restore the country to normality.
Well, ENC political editor Vuyo Mvoko was there and joins me now. Bravim, as a matter of fact, you're still there. Is that engagement still going on at this point?
Indeed, to me, it is still ongoing, and we are all waiting patiently to hear the outcome. But of course, as one person pointed out to me, probably a great majority of the leaders who are in the room right next to me are most probably going to agree with the government that what needs to be done has to be done, and what the government has said needs to be done is what indeed will be done. The big question, of course, is how to persuade perhaps a minority in there who may still hold a different view, but also how to get the best intelligence possible to know who is most likely to put up some resistance, many of whom may not be here at this meeting that is currently still taking place.
Yeah. Perhaps give us some context, Mr. V, as to why religious leaders would have concerns about, pilgrimages not gathering at this time. I think it would be easy to just say close down, shut down, take instructions, but perhaps they could have some concerns that we are not necessarily highlighting.
Well, I mean, it's the importance of buy-in. I think any government, if it is to implement as drastic as the measures are, we are told going to be going forward, it does need a buy-in. In other words, so that you are really left with those people who will hopefully be in the minority who we can put up some resistance. It is not only important for that's not the only reason you need that, but also because it makes life easy for you going forward. A little earlier, before this meeting started, we had a very short conversation with the Minister of Police, about just the readiness of the police throughout the country to actually police things like, ship-ins that will have to, whose hours have now, of operation have now been sort of curtailed. Now, you can imagine the load of work that will fall on the shoulders of the police, the army, and other state law enforcement agencies if there are bigger numbers of South Africans who are resisting. On the one hand, you're going to have people who want to go to ship-ins or want to be out in the streets or want to hold parties, and on the other, you have people who regard themselves as reasonable people who are law-abiding but who want to practice their faith. It's going to be too much on their hands. So it is indeed the logical thing to do, to try and nudge, to try and persuade people so that they can voluntarily submit to whatever regime you are putting in place as the state.
Yeah, we'll keep, of course, coming back to you, Mr. V, just to get to the bottom of those resolutions, because I can only imagine what some of the consequences might be tabled should religious leaders not want, or rather feel they cannot cooperate with some of those appeals. But thank you so much. That is our political editor, Vuyo Mvoko, just updating us on that engagement between President Cyril Ramaphosa as well as religious leaders, which we understand is still going on.